Xenoblade Chronicles and Final Fantasy pose as two of the most popular franchises in the JRPG genre. Appearing in almost every title, Shulk, one of the strongest beings in his universe, is without a doubt the icon of the Xenoblade series. Out of the vast number of Final Fantasy games, Cloudstrife from Final Fantasy VII is said to be one of, or if not the most iconic JRPG protagonist and the face of the entire Final Fantasy series. In addition to their status of JRPG icons, Shulk and Cloud's weapons also play a part in making them who they are. They both wield two of the most legendary swords in gaming history, well known for their unique design and their backstory, those being none other than the Monado and the Buster Sword. Shulk and Cloud's paths have crossed not once but twice before, in Smash 4 and in Smash Ultimate. However, we only saw a mere fraction of the power that they truly possess, scaling nowhere near their canonical capabilities. But what if both protagonists had fought one-on-one? With both of their powers being at their peak, who would be the ultimate victor between Shulk and Cloudstrife? For this comparison, we won't be including any items or equipment. This includes things such as materia, gems, accessories, or anything that buffs the character's attributes in either of the games. Whether or not they can be considered canonical, we don't know the specific equipment that Shulk and Cloud use, hence we're going to keep this out of the comparison. Instead, we're just going to focus on the character's regular attributes, their weapons, and how they're going to put up against each other. First, let's take a look at Shulk from Xenoblade Chronicles. Shulk is 18 years old and stands at a height of 1.71 meters or 5'6". His species or race is known as Hums, which is the human equivalent in the world of the Bionis. His running speed and jump height is probably the same as an average human, however there have been moments where Shulk's jump height has been way better than before. For example, during the final boss, when Shulk jumps to deliver the final blow to end Zanza. This may be due to a hidden ability of the Monado, as Rex at the end of Xenoblade 2 was able to perform a very similar move on Ion, supported by the power of Numa, which Numa and the Monado are practically the same concept. Shulk wasn't born with any special powers, however when the Monado activated in his hands, Shulk had unlocked a new ability to some extent. That ability being Foresight, meaning that Shulk was able to see into the future, knowing what his enemies would do next and what would happen if he didn't act upon it. Moments like these are known as visions. This is clearly a useful ability for Shulk, as he will be able to foresee anything fatally threatening and can prevent it from happening. In terms of combat experience, Shulk clearly knows how to fight with a sword, as he created his own weapon known as the Junk Sword, which he has used to fight creatures with Ryan on multiple occasions. His experience also grows through the many fights that he has had throughout the story of Xenoblade 1 whilst wielding the Monado. Now Shulk had peaked at the end of Xenoblade 1 when Alvis had granted him the true Monado, one of the strongest weapons in the series. But just how powerful is the true Monado? Well, the Monado itself requires great strength, spirit, and potential to be used, the same way that drivers need the same qualities to be able to summon a blade in Xenoblade 2. And since the Monado didn't act up in Shulk's hands and didn't kill him, well, I'm pretty sure he's worthy enough. The Monado also has multiple different arts which have different effects, with those arts being Buster, Enchant, Shield, Speed, Purge, Armor, Cyclone, and Eater. But how useful are each of them in this fight? Buster and Cyclone are basically just attacks. Shield blocks one type of attack known in Xenoblade 1 as a talent art, but in this case we can just say one strong move. Speed makes Shulk able to move a lot faster. Purge, while there is no aura from Cloud to seal, can just be used as another attack. Armor decreases damage taken, and Eater causes bleed damage. Enchant would be useless in this fight, as Cloud is not a Mechon. It's hard to tell exactly how strong the true Monado is, but it's said that the true Monado has the power to kill the gods, as well as we saw Shulk using it on Zanza, slashing him in two. So you can probably tell that the true Monado is quite the destructive weapon indeed. Combine that with visions and a pretty skilled fighter, Shulk, he probably solos your favourite verse. But now it's time that we take a look at Cloudstrife from Final Fantasy VII. Cloud peaks in Final Fantasy VII Adventchildren, so we are going to assess him from that point in the series. Cloud is 23 years old and stands at a height of 1.73 meters or 5'7", which means that he's a little bit taller than Shulk. His species or race is also human, meaning that he wasn't born with any special powers, but he did receive superhuman abilities. After the Nibelheim incident, Professor Hojo had captured Cloud and Zack from the Mako reactor and proceeded to experiment on them for 4 years straight. The experiments involved infusing their bodies with Mako energy and injecting them with Genova cells. Apart from that happening for 4 years, this is known as the soldier treatment. Therefore, this made Cloud just as powerful as any other soldier, even though he never officially made it as a soldier at all. That is why he was able to wield the Buster Sword and the Fusion Sword with relative ease, as well as being very fast, agile, and could jump ridiculous heights. His durability is also incredible, as for the majority of Advent children, Cloud was still fighting despite being infected with Geostigma. Geostigma is an infection introduced in Advent children, whereby anyone infected experiences debilitating weakness and potentially hallucinations. Whilst infected, Cloud had fought against the remnants of Sephiroth, being Kadaj, Yazoo, and Luz, and held out on his own. Kadaj, Yazoo, and Luz are 3 extremely powerful and skilled fighters who even made light work of the Turks, especially Reno and Rude. After being cured of the Geostigma, Cloud regained his strength and was able to overpower Kadaj. In the fight against Sephiroth, Cloud was pierced through the chest and got stabbed over and over. Despite being severely injured, Cloud was still able to win the fight. After he was done with Sephiroth, Cloud was shot through the torso by Yazoo and he just firmed it. And when he went to finish Yazoo and Luz off, they used materia to make an explosion in attempt to take Cloud down with them, but he survived that as well. So, as you can probably tell, Cloud is quite the tank.
It's thick.
That was a lot for durability. In terms of fighting experience, it's said that Cloud wasn't accepted into Soldier due to a mental weakness rather than a physical, meaning that he most likely knew how to use a sword, as well as the fact that he would have received some sort of training as a Shinra infantryman. As for the rest of his fighting experience, Cloud had fought many fights in the original FF7, meaning that he is pretty knowledgeable overall. He's also shown to be a pretty skilled fighter, as in Advent Children, he's seen to be able to parry almost everything that comes towards him, whether it be bullets, or swords, or Sephiroth, even though he may have been holding back. But taking multiple opponents at once, making light work of the mighty Bahamut, and beating Sephiroth alone definitely wouldn't be easy, so we can clearly tell that Cloud is insanely powerful. Cloud's weapon in Advent Children is the Fusion Sword. The Fusion Sword splits up into 6 different parts, and when they are all assembled, they form a shape that is identical to the Buster Sword. The Fusion Sword is extremely durable and sharp, as combined with Cloud's superhuman strength, it is shown to be able to cut through bikes, parts of buildings, and much more. The Fusion Sword also gives Cloud the ability to dual-wield the swords against his opponents, which is why he did so well against the Sephiroth remnants on his own, as well as parrying Sephiroth's Octaslash. Another thing that the Fusion Sword brings about in the hands of Cloud is his strongest limit break, known as Omnislash version 5. This move consists of the Fusion Sword's components separating and floating above Cloud's opponent. Cloud then quickly moves past his opponent, slashing them with one of the swords, grabs another and repeats the process, finishing it off with a final blow. As you can see, Cloud, despite him not having a sword made by a god, is also undeniably powerful. He still may not be able to match Sephiroth's strength, but Cloud is a definite second strongest character in Final Fantasy VII. Now that we have assessed both Shulk and Cloud, it's time that we put them up against each other. To do this, we are going to compare these 7 aspects from both characters: strength, speed and agility, defense and durability, experience, skill, abilities, and weapons. To start off, strength. This goes to Cloud. The soldier treatment plays a huge part in this, as again anyone who receives it essentially becomes superhuman, and Cloud has the ability to wield large swords in battle with no trouble at all. In comparison, Shulk also displays amazing strength through defeating enemies bigger and vastly stronger than him, but this may also be due to the power of the Monado and less from Shulk. With that being said, Cloud would overpower Shulk in terms of strength. Next we have speed and agility, and this one goes to Shulk. Cloud is very fast due to the soldier buffs, however a lot of his speed comes from him jumping and launching himself off of things as seen in Advent Children. Although he is capable of doing it, Cloud very rarely dodges and instead resolves to blocking attacks. Shulk on the other hand does a bit of both, especially due to the advantage that he is given from Monado speed. There's not a numerical value as to how much faster Monado speed makes Shulk, but the fact that him, Ryan and Sharla were able to evade the many tentacles of Mechon M71 shows how much faster Shulk could be against Cloud, who's very aggro and prefers to charge in. Because of this, Shulk would outspeed Cloud. Defense and durability. This aspect also goes to SHULK. SHULK has two abilities that support him in this area, being Monado's Shield to protect himself from a single huge attack, and Monado Armor to reduce damage in the long term. When Monado Armor is fully upgraded, it reduces damage taken by 75%, meaning that if Monado Armor is active, Cloud would only be dealing 25% of the damage that he normally would. Cloud, although his defense is really good using the Fusion Sword and being able to take many hits physically, unfortunately does not have the same level of protection as SHULK does. Therefore, SHULK takes durability. Experience goes to Cloud. Cloud had strived to become a soldier ever since he was young, joining Shinra at the age of 13. Therefore, his experience stems from his time at Shinra as well as the countless fights in the original FF7 against many different opponents. For example, there's Shinra forces, monsters, Genova, Sephiroth, and the list can go on. SHULK, on the other hand, spent a lot of time studying the Monado rather than using it, which makes sense because at the time, SHULK didn't even know that he could wield the Monado. Though despite this, Cloud has been in the game for many years as opposed to SHULK, who just found himself on a journey after the Mechon had killed Fiora. Now, if we were talking about SHULK from Future Redeemed, then he would definitely have a lot more experience. But the fact is, SHULK is nowhere near as powerful as he is in Future Redeemed compared to the end of Xenoblade 1. Anyways, Cloud wins in experience. Next we have skill. This is who is better at fighting overall. I personally say that this also goes to Cloud. Bear in mind that the primary purpose of soldiers in FF7 is for fighting, which is why that they are genetically modified with Genova cells and Mako energy to make them faster and stronger. Again, Cloud never made it into soldier because he didn't cut it mentally, meaning that he must have had physical capabilities. It's also important to think that if Cloud wasn't a good fighter and was weak, Zack would have told him to take Tifa and escape the Mako reactor instead of go after Sephiroth. Additionally, Cloud became a mercenary in the original game, which his job would mainly have involved fighting, and due to joining Avalanche, he had fought many forces of Shinra such as soldiers, Turks, and weapons such as the Airbuster or the Scorpion Sentinel. Furthermore, in Adventchildren, he even knows how to properly fight multiple opponents at once by dual-wielding the Fusion Sword, and even when fighting Sephiroth, he asked Cloud where he got his strength from. As for SHULK, on the one hand he is skilled in terms of using a weapon and knows how to use the Monado effectively, but on the other hand, he would fight because it seemed to him as the only other way forward. Sure, he had Dunban as a sort of mentor who fought in the Battle of Sword Valley, but SHULK didn't have the same level of training as, let's say, Ryan, who would have had proper training being in the defense force. SHULK is a good fighter, yes, but replace the overpowered swords from both characters with regular ones, and I believe Cloud is a better fighter. Abilities. SHULK wins this one easily. The Monado provides SHULK with a variety of tools that he can use in battle, those being the Monado arts for SHULK to use them at the right place and time, as well as the biggest game changer being Visions. Visions will allow for SHULK to foresee Cloud's moves and counter them with an attack or by falling back in defense. Cloud's Limit Break Omnislash would most likely be considered a move that SHULK's vision would pick up on due to it being a deadly attack. Because the vision will show Cloud's positioning before he performs Omnislash, SHULK could easily find the right moment to counterattack. Unfortunately, Cloud does not stand a chance here. And last but not least, we have the weapons. Now the Fusion Sword's power is no joke, being able to cut through buildings and how it can be utilized depending upon the situation that you are in, it makes a great weapon for combat. But at the same time, the same can be said about the true Monado. Again, the true Monado was not around for long enough, but the fact that it completely obliterated Zanza in the final battle shows what it does against a god. The true Monado also melts away anything in its path, meaning that if the Fusion Sword and the true Monado had clashed, the Fusion Sword would be destroyed. With that being said, SHULK has the more powerful sword. So that's it for the comparison, and now it's time for the end result. With both protagonists at their full power, the winner is none other than SHULK from Xenoblade Chronicles. SHULK takes the win from this fight for miles and miles. The Monado is just too strong of a weapon for even a skilled fighter such as Cloud to fight against. Cloud has the raw power, the physical capabilities, the skill, and a large fraction of his life with experience, demonstrating that he is insane on the battlefield. But the Monado provides SHULK with so much, it is extremely hard to keep up with the work of a god. In fact, if this fight was somehow able to take place, it wouldn't last that long, as it would only take a vision or two from Shulk to counterattack Cloud and finish him off. Cloud doesn't really use materia either, nor does he use it at all in Adventchildren, but even effects like stop from time materia would be countered by Shulk, interrupting his casting, though in the end I doubt that these two would ever come to fight canonically anyways. If you've made it to this point in the video, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. If you found this entertaining, make sure you leave a like, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content about Xenoblade and Final Fantasy. Once again guys, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.